Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin. All across Nigeria, we're bringing news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
A lovely afternoon and thanks for joining us on the news at noon. My name is Grace Nwafo. The Nigerian Senate has given conditions for the reinstatement of Senator Natasha Akpoti after a federal high court in Abuja nullified the 6-month suspension meted out to her by the Senate. Justice Binta Nyako, in her judgment on Friday, ordered the Senate to reinstate the Kogi Central senator, describing her suspension as excessive. Delivering her judgment on the matter, Justice Nyako faulted the provision of Chapter 8 of the Senate Standing Rules, as well as Section 14 of the Legislative Houses Powers and Privileges Act, declaring both as overreaching. The court stressed that the two legislations failed to specify the maximum period that 7 lawmakers could be suspended from office. Justice Nyako stated that while the Senate had the authority to discipline its members, such disciplinary actions must not strip citizens of representation in the National Assembly. She noted that since the Senate was constitutionally required to sit for only 181 days in a legislative year, Akpoti's 180-day suspension amounted to denying the people of Kogi Central effective participation in national governance. The court, however, found Akpoti guilty of contempt over a satirical apology she posted on her Facebook page on April 27. Justice Nyako held that after reviewing the post, the application before her instituted by the third respondent, she was satisfied that it was linked to the suspension matter before the court and therefore found the plaintiff guilty of contempt. The judge ordered Akpoti Uduaghan to publish an apology in 2 national dailies and on her Facebook page within 7 days. She also imposed a fine of 5 million naira. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to participate in the 17th Summit of Head of State and Government for the Global South and Emerging Economic Bloc. The bloc includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, also called the BRICS. President Tinubu was received by Brazil's Deputy Minister for Africa and the Middle East, Carlos, and the Deputy Minister for Trade Promotion, Science, Technology, Innovation, and Culture. At the BRICS Summit, the President will participate in a plenary session and deliver an address on Nigeria's ongoing reforms to reposition the economy for global competitiveness. He will also meet with investors to capitalize on the country's opportunities in agriculture, solid minerals, healthcare, and alternative energy. And from the United States, a United States District Court has sentenced a Nigerian pastor, Edward Oluwasomi, to 27 months imprisonment for COVID-19 relief fund fraud. His friend, Alba Joseph Olede, also forfeited his property to the U.S. government while awaiting the court judgment slated for August 1. Oluwasomi and Oba Olede were arrested in early 2024 for fraudulently obtaining $4.2 million in COVID-19 relief funds. The 2 men were charged with 13 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to defraud, money laundering, and engaging in monetary transactions in criminally derived property. They were arraigned before Justice Christopher Boko of the U.S. District Court of Ohio. According to court records, Judge Boko sentenced Oluwasomi to 27 months imprisonment on count 1, 11, and 12 of the indictment on Wednesday, July 2nd. The sentences are to be served concurrently. The court also ordered Oluwasomi to pay a fine of $15,000 while he is to report himself to the U.S. Marshal Service. Oluwasomi is to forfeit a commercial property on 422 South Green Road, South Useed, Ohio. Meanwhile, the court has fixed Friday, August 1 for sentencing of Oloyede after the monarch also pleaded guilty to count 1 and 13 of his charges. And still from the United States, US President Donald Trump has signed his landmark policy bill into law a day after it was narrowly passed by Congress. The signing event at the White House on Friday afternoon enacts key parts of the Trump agenda, including tax cuts, spending boost for defense, and the immigration crackdown. There was a celebratory atmosphere at the White House as Trump signs the bill ahead of Independence Day fireworks and a military picnic attended by the pilot who recently flew into Iran to strike 3 nuclear sites. Trump told supporters it will unleash economic growth, but he must now convince skeptical Americans, as polling suggests many disapprove of parts of the bill. Hamas announced on Friday that it had submitted a positive response to a proposal for a 60-day ceasefire with Israel in Gaza, opening the path towards a deal to halt the conflict after months of failed effort. Hamas has submitted a positive response to the mediators, and the movement is fully prepared to immediately enter into a round of negotiations regarding the mechanism for implementing this framework. The group made this in a statement. Israel had previously accepted the US sponsored framework, which means the two sides are now expected to enter final detailed negotiations before a ceasefire agreement is officially reached. Bishara Baba, a Palestinian American interlocutor who has been in direct discussion with Hamas, praised the group's response on Facebook, saying they are close to ending the war. And from Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has told the European Union's top diplomat that Beijing can accept Russia losing its war against Ukraine, as this could allow the United States to turn its full attention to China. An official brief on the talk said, contradicting Beijing's public position of neutrality in the conflict. The admission came during what the official said was a 4-hour meeting with the EU Foreign Affairs Chief, Kaja Kallas, on Wednesday in Brussels that featured tough but respectful exchanges covering a broad range of issues from cybersecurity, rare earths to trade imbalances, Taiwan, and Middle East. The official said Wang's private remarks suggested Beijing might prefer a protracted war in Ukraine that keeps the United States from focusing on its rivalry with China. The echo concerns of critics of China's policy that Beijing has geopolitically much more at stake in the Ukrainian conflict than its admitted position of neutrality. China has also rejected growing accusations it is providing near military support to Russia. Ukraine has sanctioned several Chinese companies for providing Russia drone components and technology for use in missile production. And now from the world of sport. Chelsea emerged victorious in the FIFA Club World Cup quarterfinal encounter with a 2-1 win over Brazilian side Palmeiras. The Premier League side took an early lead in the 16th minute when Cole Palmer found the net, finishing off an assist from Trevoh to put Chelsea ahead. Despite several attacking efforts from both sides, the score remained 1-0 going into the break. Palmeiras responded strongly in the second half, and their effort paid off in the 53rd minute when Willian scored the equalizer, assisted by Rios. The game continued with high intensity as both teams sought a winning goal. However, in the 83rd minute, disaster struck for the Brazilian side when goalkeeper Weverton scored an own goal, handing Chelsea a 2-1 lead. Palmeiras could not recover from the setback despite a late push. The match saw a number of cautions handed out, with yellow cards shown to Malo Gusto, Liam Delap, Rios, and Levi Colwill. With this result, Chelsea secured a spot in the prestigious Club World Cup semi-finals. And that brings us to the end of the news at noon on 24 News Radio and Television. My name is Grace Wafo. Do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of the broadcast. Good afternoon.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we're bringing news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we're bringing news and